Topuria, the hashtag 1 pound for pound double champ. Topuria, who's got 3 back-to-back knockouts on our favourite fighters, looks unstoppable with his boxing, but his weakness is definitely his ground game / wrestling. At UFC 317 when Oliveira took it to the ground, look at the way Topuria handled it compared to Makhachev. Ilya doesn't go to the ground because that's a genuine weakness he has, and going ground game with Charles, an elite BJJ fighter who holds the most submissions ever in the UFC, is dangerous. He may have submitted people in his early days, but with people like Oliveira and Islam, it's definitely his weakness. Wrestling with Topuria is the way to beat him in the lightweight division. I don't think anyone else has a stronger KO power than him in the division, so wrestling his biggest threat. Ankalaev, the Dagestani. He's sharp with his strike, encounters and clinches a lot. A bit of a boring fighter, a bit of a boring playstyle, people may say. But his number one weakness, which is notably shown in this fight against Blachowicz, is that he can't handle low leg kicks and is always prone to getting hit by it. Here's a clip.
To be a little bit more patient, don't...
Again, bang.
To draw out your attack to try to counter. But look.
Numbers couldn't be...
Oh! Pick him up a little bit.
He's in that one really bothered Ankalaev. Look at this. These UFC divisions. Orthodox stance here.
And you would think
the left. And again. Blachowicz looks very confident there from Blachowicz. Ankalaev.
Yep. Round 3. You know, a close round already. Oh my goodness. That was
and it's both legs now.
It's both sides.
At UFC 313, due to this weakness of Ankalaev and that Alex Pereira is an elite kickboxer, I would favour Pereira to win, but he surprisingly didn't to everyone's disbelief. But I think Pereira is definitely working harder in camp, fully analysing Ankalaev's fighting technique and his weaknesses, and will go into a fight with a renowned attitude and win. Merab, bantamweight champ, the cardio king. Nobody is beating Merab over decision. His cardio is just too elite for anyone to be possibly taking it to decision. The only possible way to beat Merab is you need knockout power, I reckon. He is an elite wrestler and no one is better than him skill for skill in the division. We saw that with his fight against Umar, the most technically advanced fight that I've seen. Umar kept going for the takedown, doing his sambo, but he eventually got tired as Merab constantly aggressively pressures him in the later rounds. Sean O'Malley has the KO power to take Merab's light out, but he just isn't built enough to compete with him. When they're both in range, he doesn't physically have the strength to escape the takedowns that Merab was putting on him. He's been practicing his takedown defense prior to that fight with people like Adesanya and Mighty Mouse before the second fight with Merab, but we still see, but however much training he does, he just, strength for strength, he just cannot beat Merab. He doesn't have enough strength to beat Merab as a bantamweight. He's 5'11", 135 pounds. An ideal fighter that would beat Merab is someone with the skills of Umar and the KO power of Sean O'Malley, and a fighter like that would beat Merab by KO because nobody is lasting to decision against Merab. Aspinall, the heavyweight that moves like a lightweight. As of right now, no one in the division beats him. He's far too technically advanced for them. But the way to beat Aspinall is by staying in range and not scramble early in the round, to last longer into the late rounds, because in the UFC, the longest Aspinall has lasted in is 2 rounds. All his fights are by KO submission. Playing the small game, clinching and waiting until rounds 4 and 5 for decision could really test him, then take the advantage of him when he's tired. You've got to be calculated when going into the fight with Aspinall. I think by decision slowly. In scrambled, Aspinall leaves his chin a bit open, making it viable for a good uppercut, but I don't think anybody in the division has the KO power to take out Aspinall's chin. Maybe Derek Lewis with the most KOs in the UFC, but again, I don't think he has a heart in him to keep going and lasting long in the rounds 4 and 5 with Aspinall. I think he just get knocked out round 2 or 3. Sometimes someone like Ngannou would be an amazing matchup for Aspinall, as it's straight raw power to power and he has a mentality to do so. Alongside with the long game and the KO power, you need some amazing, not elite, but amazing, great takedown defense to somehow withhold and avoid getting submitted by him. So by playing the long game and being calculated, lasting until the longer rounds going to decision, because Aspinall again has never made it to decision. He's always won via KO or submission. So we've never seen his cardio or how tight he gets going to the late rounds. So by playing the long game, being calculated, getting shots onto his chin where applicable, when in scrambles and having great takedown defense, that is the way to beat Aspinall. which is a very hefty list, and this is why nobody in the division beats him, and at this age, not even John Jones beats him. Volkanovski, the featherweight goat. Volkanovski is a very well-rounded fighter, but the way to beat him, in which we have seen from his last 5 matches, 3 losses, 2 to Islam and 1 to Topuria, is by simply leading the fight from early on and getting him onto his back foot, getting him scrambled towards you so you can make him get on his back foot. In UFC 298, Topuria in the second round was the aggressor taking charge of the fight, making Volk go on his back foot, which led to Topuria using his knockout power to knock out Volkanovski. In UFC 294, Makhachev was leading the fight, getting Volk into scrambles, doing feints left and right, leading to that powerful head kick that knocked out Volk. Volk is getting older, making him and his reflexes more slower, especially during feints, which allowed Islam to knock out Volkanovski with that head kick due to Volk's slow feint to the left. Getting Volk on his back foot into these unpredictable fast scrambles where he can't keep up is the way to beat Volk now. It sounds like a lot, but he truly is a well-rounded fighter, and only the very best could beat him. DDP is by far the most goofiest champion we have, with the most goofiest fighting style. He takes down people with him at the bottom and by dragging onto someone's foot. However, he does have the physicality and cardio to withstand, making him champ. To beat DDP, you need to be either an elite striker or a specialist wrestler. Just a very specialist skill in one. Adesanya is an elite striker and has cardio, but I just think he doesn't match DDP's physicality in his fight, which led to him getting submitted. With Khamzat is an elite wrestler with even the physicality to compete and brawl and overtake DDP. But his cardio is untested, and we don't know if he has the cardio to last 5 rounds with DDP. The longest he's ever gone in the UFC is with Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, which was 3 rounds to decision, in which he won just by majority decision, which makes this fight so interesting and so close to see who will be the next middleweight champ. JDM, the new welterweight champ, to make his first title defense in November. JDM is arguably one of the best boxers in the UFC and primarily only uses boxing when fighting, which is a big weakness, as this isn't Misfit or the WBA, it's the UFC vs mixed martial arts, which leads me onto his weakness, his ground game and wrestling. Of course he's not an absolute rookie at takedown defense or wrestling, but the gap between his level of ground game and Islam's level of ground game is astronomical. He better pray it only stays on the feet. So the way to beat JDM, which Islam will perform at Madison Square in UFC 322, is through wrestling and ground game, and with an opponent as great as Islam, I reckon Islam subs him in round 2. Pantoja, which some people already consider the GOAT of the weight class. Pantoja is phenomenal. He has elite BJJ, a tough chin, and a great striker and a great grappler. And I honestly don't see anybody beating him based on how well-rounded he is. His durability is insane for a flyweight, one of his best attributes. And I think the only way to beat him is to match his durability and be calculated by outpointing him and having an advantage in physical attributes like Figueiredo did with his matchup against Pantoja. Figueiredo was very good with his takedown and kept getting him on the floor, kept cracking Pantoja and just kept testing his durability. But of course, Pantoja's durability lasted longer, resulting in him winning. And only if you have all of those, only if you have all of the durability calculated by outpointing him and having an advantage in physical attributes. That being said, you could scrape away with a split decision win or majority win if you have all of those listed, which shows how clear Pantoja is of his own division